Welcome back to Way Out West. Rob here, president of the club. Today I had the pleasure of chatting with the great Benny Peters, who will be bringing his band, the Fly-By-Nighters, to WOW for our end of year Christmas party extravaganza. This will be a show not to miss. Also, we have the very talented Damon Smith opening up the show. We've had a terrific year this year, and we would love to celebrate the festive season with you all. I can promise that Benny will have the place jumping and the dance floor rocking. Sit back and enjoy the interview, and please hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help me out. And as always, rock on, my friends. So, thanks for joining me, mate. Party coming up.
Yes.
Featuring you guys, of course, the Fly-By-Nighters with Damon Smith.
Well, thank you for getting us on board. That's great.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a ripper. Got some questions to throw at you.
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
When did you discover music, and what type of music were you first introduced to?
Oh, okay. It was albums from my parents, of course, and the records that you'd pull out of their collection, and there was everything from sort of classical, from sort of Tchaikovsky to the stuff that grabbed me. Obviously, was there was these sort of albums which were called Folk Festival of the Blues, I think, and there was sides of them. They're heavy shellac, old shellac records, and they were. It was a whole compilation of different things. It was Lead Belly, it was Lightning Hopkins, it was, Mance Lipscomb, and it was all those sort of Delta blues guys, as well as all the gospel. And each side had a kind of a different sort of, one might have been Texas blues, or one might have been, gospel. And then there was, and then also in the collection, of course, was, Woody Guthrie and lots of Bob Dylan. Mm-hmm. So that's what I started off listening to, was just my parents' records.
Yeah, which is interesting, because when I speak to lots of musicians, that's where it all comes from too, parents. So we're lucky we had good parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe your first instrument wasn't the guitar. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
No, it wasn't. I was a horn player, French horn player. Mm-hmm. And I played a bit of trumpet as well. So that's what I did at school when I was in all the orchestras and stuff. And I think the French horn was one of those, incredibly dull instruments, in the sense that you can't really go out there and do anything on it apart from sort of stand up and stand at the back of the orchestra. And there's lots of French horn parts written in orchestral things, but I think there's only ever been like one solo piece for a French horn ever written. And that might be for a reason, for sure. But it was. But I quite enjoyed doing the orchestral thing. But that's what I guess led me to guitar, was having the freedom to just do stuff. To do play whatever I wanted, and that was kind of what the whole purpose was. I didn't want to be schooled, even though at the time, obviously, I was sight reading and doing all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to just be able to make music. And just have it come out as such, as best I could, And
so when did you get around to forming your first band, and what were they called?
First band, I think, was, it must have been, I guess, early 90s. Mm-hmm. It was a band called Geronimo's Cadillac.
Okay. Nice name.
Yeah, with Will Wilson on vocals, and there was my mate Chip Legrand on harmonica, who is obviously a famous journalist these days, of course, and myself and Teddy Crystal on bass, and Dale ended up playing in bass in that too, Dale Lindry.
Yeah.
And the drummer's name was Lou Higgins, and he worked in film. He was a gaffer. And he made everything out of gaffer. His belt was made out of gaffer, and everything just made out of gaffer. He loved it. Anyway, he was a true tech engineer for film. I see his name come up on things, occasionally.
Yeah.
You'd like, Australian things that are produced here in Australia.
Yeah. Grouse. You were in a fantastic band, the Redliners, with Rob Payne.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And now I read you guys actually supported Billy Thorpe at one stage. That would have been a bit of a hoot.
Yes, it was. He was a lovely guy. I had the chance to meet him a few times. I played with Lewis King and the Liars Club for a while too, and we did a tour down, I guess, in the Central Coast, doing the supports for him. And that was great. And he was a very generous person. I guess he was initially standoffish, but once he realised you knew what you were doing and not wasting the people's time out the front and all that kind of stuff, I suppose, his audience. Yeah. He was very, very nice and was very open to have a chat about music with and stuff.
You didn't try and outblast him with the volume, did you?
I could never even physically. I couldn't take it, and emotionally as well. I probably couldn't take it. But some people who can do that can do it well, and he did it really well. He just that was part of his sound that he had, is that kind of just sort of hit you in the face kind of volume as well, to back up the way he played his music and his songs. And I loved it, but it just ain't my bag. Sort of,
I lived all through those Sunbury days, and I didn't realise that he was playing old blues songs until you start researching that. It was hardly any of those songs were his, but it, and that thumping bass, it used to hit you in the chest. It's like,
you'd pick songs and just sort of ramp them up, and you do like Bebop Alula and all that kind of stuff. Old rockabilly songs too, and it's great. He's a killer.
Yeah.
You grew up during a good time getting to see all that stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I can remember some of it, but not.
Not.
I'm I've always been a big fan of Collard Greens and Gravy, and you and Dale are actually back playing with them. But I'm really interested to hear about this Collard Greens and Black Eyed Peas. I've never heard of that first incarnation of the band.
Yeah, it was I don't even know how long it went for. Maybe a year or so, maybe a couple of years. And we did have quite a few gigs. And the lineup was Simon Burke on Hammond, Ronnie Farella on drums, and Ian obviously would play some guitar. Even at that stage, he was playing a bit of guitar, and obviously harmonica and vocals and stuff, and I played guitar in it. And Simon did the Hammond bass. And that's how it started out, Collard Greens and Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
And then I think, Ian had decided that he wanted to go down a different path musically, but we were having a lot of fun. We were playing those, lots of, very late gigs, things that like the, what was it called? The club in Collingwood, that upstairs place, that was open like 24 hours.
All right.
And we played from like 2 in the morning till 5.
Oh, wow.
That kind of thing,
Amazing.
Yeah, it was just a very crazy sort of time. That was, I guess that's 25 years ago or something now, maybe longer.
No, I think it will be longer. Yeah,
maybe 30 years ago or something like that. So, it would be. Yeah, so a long time, and that was just it was good times and great getting to play with people like Ronnie and Simon and
I remember Ronnie. I think used to play with
excuse me,
Andy Cowan's band early in.
Yes,
great drummer.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
So when did you form Benny and the Fly-By-Nighters, and what made you go down that path?
I think it was just where I was going at the time. I was in the Redliners, and I guess I've been going back and forth to Austin, Texas, and the Redliners were definitely a vision of that. It was that kind of having that kind of, I guess, what I would sort of, call a Texas barroom blues band. But I started to get really, really kind of focused on doing rhythm and blues a bit later. And I guess part of it was wanting to sing. So I ended up leaving the Redliners. And then I started doing when I had enough confidence that I could hold a tune, I started doing some gigs in places like little Muddy Waters Cafe and all that kind of stuff, the little booking bands at the time. And the Armadillo, there was a Tex-Mex restaurant down on the Pean Highway and places like that. But that's when the Fly-By-Nighters got together. And yeah, originally it was Carl Hurd on saxophone and Peter Bulkey on bass. And then, of course, my good mate Andrew Lindsay on drums. And he's still in the band and plays there. And then we've got Dean Hilson, who took over when Carl moved over to Europe. And then Attilio Vecchio, and the double bass player who's been with me for years and years and years. He joined a bit later after Mike Miller left the band.
It's interesting because I think Carl Hurd also played with Andy Cowan, if I remember correctly.
He was a very desirable person to have in your band, Carl.
Yeah.
He was, depending on what you wanted him for too, because his first instrument was clarinet, and he was incredibly world class. I mean, he was top shelf. Such an incredible talent. He still is. He's just living over in the UK. But and of course, saxophone, he was just amazing at too, and he could just run the gamut. Yeah, incredible.
I think he really sort of likes the jazz feel to the sax too. I think Carl, he gets into that a little bit.
He does, but the thing is about sax players that people like, say, Carl and Dean and Paul Williamson and stuff like that, they also know how to honk, and they know what it is to be able to play rock and roll sax or blues saxophone as opposed to just straight up jazz chops. And that's not, you don't find that a lot with horn players. A lot of horn players find it very hard to get out of their sort of jazz idiom of just, using, sort of melodies, more jazz, experimental jazz melodies and stuff like that, as opposed to, you probably want less Coltrane and more, Illinois Jacquet or something like that. You need to have someone. You need to have that ability to be able to sort of simplify it and get to the point. And I think that's what really works with. And we're very lucky in Melbourne. We've got incredible musicians in general, but incredible horn players.
Yeah. I'm not smart enough to understand what John Coltrane's doing or Miles Davis. I've got no idea where that's going.
No, well, someone said to us, actually Jimmy Vaughan said to me one time, we were talking about some stuff, and he said, well, there's only two types of music, man. There's good and bad.
Yeah, that's right.
And he goes, and that's subjective.
Yeah, that's right.
So, which is completely true. You either dig it and understand it, or you don't.
Yeah.
I think that's all it comes down to,
Yeah. Now, you guys played quite a lot over in Europe too.
Yes, we've done a lot of tours over there over the years. We haven't been back there since COVID, I don't think. Oh, hang on. That was maybe just before COVID, I suppose. I'm trying to think. I'm one of those people who lost track of any year and something since the lockdowns.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if it was the year after we got out or the year before or whatever. That's a bit of a blank, that kind of couple of years there. But the last one I did was in the UK. We went over for the Rhythm Riot, and they had a pickup band for me. They didn't pay for the band to come over because they were doing an Australia Day, like a night there on the Friday night. So it was Ezra Lee, Rusty Pinto from WA, and Scotty Baker. And I had a band called The Extraordinaires, which is a band from over in the UK, backing me up. And they did a great job, did a really good job. But we've done a whole bunch of tours over there. So I think our first tour, European one, was 2004, maybe, I think. Or 2002, 2003. I said I'm not good with years. But, and that was great. It was just, I love going to Europe to play. And I've obviously done some touring in the States too, with sort of under either Benny Peters or under Benny and the Fly-By-Nighters a few different times. And it's always wonderful to do it. I'd like to do it again. So I guess I've just got to throw myself out there. I probably have to record a new record too to sort of make it worthwhile. But obviously, the problem with that is, the diminishing returns on recording any new material. And what format to put it out on, and how to make it sort of so there's some sort of you sort of cover your what you've spent in the end, I suppose. So and obviously playing lots of gigs makes a big difference, because you can get it out and you can get it to the audience that way. So a tour helps with that. That's great, because merchandise and stuff is where it's at, that kind of thing.
Now, you guys also represented the MBAS at the Memphis Blues Challenge. What was
with Three Kings? Yeah.
What was the experience of being on Beale Street like?
Well, like being in a big tourist hub. It's no longer the you have to excuse my croaky voice. It'll be better for the gig, I promise you. I'll have it all cleared up. I don't know what's going on, but I've got my nose spray and everything. Look, the Beale Street's not what it is when you listen to the songs and you see pictures of Bobby Blue Bland and BB King and all these people hanging out down on Beale Street. It's pretty touristy. And it's still kind of wonderful, because you're on Beale Street, and there's still some nice old architecture there, some great food. There's still some awesome food there. But I loved it. It was a wonderful experience. That obviously the Melbourne Blues Appreciation Society was able to put on that kind of showcase, and then pay your way over there so you can perform. Pretty special, so we sort of lifted up a bit, of course. But Jason, myself and Ian, we had a great time, and we didn't make it to the finals, which I think it was a bit of it was a very interesting sort of thing, because what they want there, we got sort of after the semi-finals, before we were to get into the final, before we got they'd made a decision who was going through to the finals. We'd just done the semi-finals and stuff. We got these more official looking guys came over and started talking to Ian and I. We'd had a few drinks and we're just talking to them. And they were asking, so what happened if you were to go through? What would happen? Would you be able to, do all these gigs? Because they have all these gigs in America they want you to do, sort of obligations, so that they can put you on the poster saying winner of or finalist of whatever. So it's publicity for them, And Ian was very honest with them, and so I said, look, I don't think we could do that. I mean, it'd be really hard, because, we live in Australia and I've got kids and, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we had a good chat to them, and they were like, okay, no worries. And then we found out we didn't get through to the final. And I actually think they were vetting us. Which I said to Ian, I said, I think they just vetted us, man. I think they were just sussing out whether we could, because I completely got it. I mean, if you get in there and they can't use you as any form of publicity, then you're no use to them. Yeah. So I think we might have spoiled some of our chances. We probably should have lied, like probably everyone else does,
by being honest.
And just gone, we can do everything. I'm independently wealthy. I can just fly over whenever I feel like it, and do whatever I want. That kind of thing.
It is a business there. I've been there a few times now, and
Yeah,
each time I go there, I feel like it's more Disneyland for the blues,
it
and you
is.
hear every little bar you go into, someone's going to play Mustang Sally, and
Brown sugar.
brown sugar. Yeah, but you did see Al Green.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a real highlight on one of our. I guess after the, it was on the Sunday, so it was after
Mm,
the.
mm,
It would have been the day of the final, I suppose,
mm,
the Sunday. But of course, we didn't go through, so we beelined it
mm,
to the Bishop,
mm.
uh,
Yes.
the Bishop Al Green. And man, what an experience! That made my whole trip.
Yeah.
Just getting to see, because uh, it was amazing.
Mm.
As a performer, he's and I'm not a believer, but I was ready to be
Yeah.
after watching him do his thing. In fact, I at one stage they're saying come up with donations, and I before I knew it, I'd risen out of the seat and I was marching down the front with $20. So his power, and I went down and put it in the thing. I couldn't help myself. I felt like I was sanctifying or something like
You
that.
were testifying and
I was
sanctifying.
testifying, and yeah, but he got $20 out of my pocket, and I didn't even. I was doing it before I even realised it. I was on my way down there to put it in the
Well,
big bucket,
I'm glad
the bucket for God.
I'm glad you've been backsliding for us anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you've got the Antones hat on there, and I was going to
Oh
ask you
yes.
about Austin. Yeah, how many times you've been to Austin? Uh, and who are some of the guys you've got to perform with over there?
I can't tell you how many times I've been to Austin. I maybe uh, I lived there in 1990.
Mhm.
In 1994, I was there for a year. 97, I was there for about 9 months, 9 or 10 months. And then I was back every year for at least a month. And then I was there 2000. I lived there with Cindy, my wife. We lived there 2007, 2008
Mhm.
for a year as well. But yeah, I've probably been back and forth, you know, 20, 30 times or something like that in
Wow.
that period of time.
Yeah,
Some years I'd be over there twice.
yeah, yeah.
So if I was in Europe, for instance, I'd quite often finish the tour and then I'd fly to Austin to catch up with my mates and play over there.
Mm.
And playing over there, you hop up with kind of anyone, but a good mate of mine was Nick Curran.
Mm.
We used to play a lot together. We had a little band together. We used to play around,
Mm.
and that was amazing. Had a great band behind us. um, but yeah, played a lot with Nicky. He'd hop up and do stuff with me, and I'd
Mm.
vice versa. And so we'd do a bunch of gigs together, just doing rhythm and blues.
Mm.
And he'd sing some, and I'd sing some. And I mean, he was just such an incredible talent, a good friend. But I don't think I've ever met anyone with as much talent and
Mm.
sort of um,
Mm.
individual sort of charisma and stuff like that as Nicky.
Mm.
But he was a real treasure. But you play with, oh geez, I'm trying to think. Play with Blues Boy Hubbard, who was a local guy around there.
Mm.
W.C. Clark.
Mm.
Played with Jimmy Vaughan.
Mm.
Um, Speedy Sparks.
Mm.
Obviously, um, I'm trying to think. Johnny Mola, Jay Mola,
Mm.
Gary Clark Jr. I mean, all those sort of guys you'd hop up. There was a whole group of kids lying around. Mike Flanagan,
Mm. Mm.
all that kind of stuff too. And they were called Clifford's Kids, of which I was one of them for a period of time, because Clifford Antone would look after people, and he'd sling us a little bit of money and stuff, because I was living there at the time, and I was living with Johnny Mola
Mm.
and a guy called Doyle Bramble Jr.
Oh.
And we were living in the same house. And so, you'd hang out with Clifford, and he just took care of you, and he'd invite you out to Slotsky's for a sandwich or something, because he'd try and make sure that he got a feed and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So we were known as Clifford's Kids. I went over and did one of the Antone's reunion, the anniversaries. And I was up there. I was fortunate enough to be asked to come up as one of Clifford's Kids. So there was all, the Molars and Gary Clark Jr. and Eve Exile, Eve Monse. And there was a whole bunch of us, Mike Keller and all that kind of stuff. That was Jake Andrews and all these guys who were sort of young at the time, that were known as Clifford's Kids.
Cool.
And I was fortunate enough to get up, and there was Sue Foley and all that kind of stuff. They'll get up there and do some stuff,
Oh, cool. I think Austin is one city that has retained its real music. And isn't it their city slogan or something like "Keep Austin Weird" or something?
Yeah, yeah. It was, it's a if you think of Austin and a place like that, it's kind of, I guess, it's like a lot like Melbourne, in the sense that for Texas, it's incredibly diverse. And it represents so many different sort of parts of society in Austin, which is unlike a lot of other places in Texas. It's a blue state in a big red state. Same with San Antonio and stuff like that. But it's got a huge, obviously big Hispanic community, but also, big European community there from, German descent and stuff within that area as well. A lot of sort of German and Dutch descent people and all that kind of stuff as well. And it's very open and liberal compared to, you definitely wouldn't see the sort of openness to some, communities like, say, a gay community or something like that, that you would, you're not going to find that in Waco. You know what I mean? But Austin, being what they call in America a seat of learning, so it's a university city. So there's a lot of universities there, a lot of young people. So as a result, it's much more open, and people, it's as it has that thing of there's some strange cats there, which is great. That makes the world go round.
That's all right. Did you go to and I think it's pronounced Green Hall, but it's spelled the German way.
It is Green, or Green Hall or Green Hall, but it's a German. Yeah, it's a German.
That's German. Yeah. I seen who did I see there? I'll think of it. But yeah, what an incredible place that was. Jerry Jeff Walker, that's right.
It's an amazing place. I mean, it's one of the oldest dance halls still around. I don't think it's the oldest, but it's definitely in the top few dance halls in America. Yeah, one of the oldest, like the top 10 or something like that. Yeah. There was a I'm trying to remember his name now. Sort of, it'll come to me.
Nice.
Steve Dean. He was a famous guy around Texas. He ran all sorts of vintage clothing places, record shops and stuff. But he did a book before he passed away on dance halls, Texas dance halls, like a coffee table book. And he went and found all the dance halls that were part of the sort of Chitlin circuit, and obviously the country music circuit, where the Bob Wills and all that had played, and all these different people. But it's an incredible book if you can track it down. And Steve Dean was his name, and he had taken the photos of all these beautiful old Texas dance halls that were either boarded up or still in still functioning, one way or another.
Who are some of the guitarists you've taken an influence from?
Oh, so many. There's obvious ones. Of course, you're going to say B.B. King and T-Bone and Johnny Guitar Watson, Earl King. But there's a lot of guys, that they go under the radar a bit, and stuff like that. But of course, there's Pat Hare, or there's guys like even Little Milton as a guitar player is really fantastic. A lot of people don't even talk about his guitar playing because he's got such a good voice. But a lot of the sidemen as well, a lot of these guys that were Clarence Garlow and
Mm-hmm.
these guys who were sort of doing a lot of sessions and backing up people, or, you know, like Texas Johnny Brown or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Gatemouth or there was a lot of these guys getting around. There was Clarence Holloman, was
Mm-hmm.
another guy that was just prolifically good. Did a lot of the guitar playing. Wayne Bennett,
Mm-hmm.
who played with Bobby Blue Bland and played on all these famous sort of sessions you hear that you just sort of think, oh yeah, they're great. You know, you don't know who the guitar player is, but it's them most of the time.
Yeah. Did Guitar
Otis
Watson?
Rush, of course, as well. You know, Magic Sam.
Yeah.
You know.
Did Guitar what? You said Johnny Guitar Watson. He did Gangster of Love. Did he? On the
Yes,
Gangster. Yeah. So Billy Thorpe did that too. So there's another connection with Thorpe. I
I'm sure he
remember.
did a lot louder and a lot faster.
Yeah, and with a few swear words too in it.
Oh
I'm
right,
like,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
That would have been. Well, that would have won him some, especially at Sunbury, or
Yeah.
he would have got the crowd going.
Yeah. Now you did mention Jimmy Vaughan there before, but I think didn't he just come in and plonk himself in front of you once and you shit yourself as he was watching you play?
Yeah, well, that was the first time I'd met him.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, not shit yourself. That's the wrong word.
yeah. Well, yeah, it was. Well, you're not far off the mark, I suppose. I was playing a place called Trophies in Austin, and yeah, we had a nice big crowd there, which was great. And I was playing a gig, and let's see, I can't remember who was. Oh, yeah, it was the Horton brothers. So I had Billy Horton on bass and Bobby Horton on guitar, and then it was Buck Johnson on drums. And I can't remember if it was someone else. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, Jimmy walks in, and it's sort of a daytime gig, so I can see someone coming through the door, sort of, you know, I'm thinking, okay, that's a pretty cool looking cat right there, you know. Anyway, walks up, he's still got his sunnies on, he's like motorcycle jacket, and him and his wife, Robin, just popped down right in front of me, you know. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You know, we're just about to get going with our set, you know. I'm just like, okay, this is sort of, I wasn't expecting this, but yeah, but literally the first seat right in front of me, and I'm just like, okay, that's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, we played for a bit. He stuck around for a set, and then came up and we had a bit of a chat. And he sort of said, "Oh man, that sounds really good," and all that kind of thing. And I was, I was just, it was all a bit of a blur.
Yeah.
In the sense, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is, how embarrassing," sort of thing. But he seemed to like it, and whatever. And yeah, and then after that, I got to sort of, when I saw him around, we'd stop and chat and, all that kind of stuff and catch up and, all that kind of thing. So when he's been out here in the past, I sort of, I'll get backstage kind of thing and have a bit of a chat to him and all that kind of thing and catch up. And he's a mad hot rodder. So, if I've got some friends who are mad hot rodders and they have some magazines, I get pass them on because he's really into those sort of, custom car stuff. So, and he loves collecting all that sort of stuff, and he loves talking about it too. Yeah. So,
cool. Now you've supported some legendary performers in Australia: Lazy Lester, Owen Gray, Big J McNeely. Owen and Big J actually played at our old venue, Willie RSL. Did you play with him at the Willie RSL? Do you remember Big J McNeely?
Yes.
Fantastic. I just that's the hot that, and I've got the photo here. That was in January 2013.
That'd be right. Yeah, that was the first time I played with him a couple of times.
Yeah,
that he came out and we did the, Golden Plains or Meredith or whatever as well. But yeah, we played there. It was great. Yeah. It was a good gig. I remember that. It was not Chockers too. It was absolutely thumping.
Yeah. Can you tell our listeners just how big J McNeely was in those 50s, and that he was just an incredible artist? And we're talking like saxophone again.
Yes. Well, it was the Central Avenue sound, of which he was probably the king at the time, which was honkin' saxophone. And there was a few of them. There was Lynn August, and there was a whole bunch of these other Joe Houston, which were, they would compete with each other, and
a cutting contests.
Oh yeah, and but he was as big as you get at that time, I suppose, especially within the black community, but also crossing over. In fact, there's famous photos of Big J standing out, and there's there's a whole bunch of sort of, white kids in front of him just losing their mind. In fact, when we did one of the gigs, backing up Big J at the, I guess it was the Central Club, Mohair and a bunch of his mates came down and tried to recreate that. These kids going absolutely ballistic, where they're slapping their hands on the stage and sort of, holding back, because this photo captures this incredible moment down on the Central Avenue in about 1950.
Oh, I know the photo
or something. Yeah.
I think he's laying on his back, honking away.
Yeah, honking on his back. But he was a lot older at that stage, but he was a prolific performer, and incredible talent and ability to. I remember one of the days he was dressed up in his suit, and he can barely walk too. He wasn't too secure on his feet, but he walked all the way down from the hill at Meredith through the crowd. It was 38 degrees. Through the crowd, honking all the way to the stage, then got up on stage and then commenced the rest of his show. And there's great footage, actually, if you look it up. Big J McNeely at Meredith. It's about a good 5-minute clip from the whole start of him walking down. And you get to see it. It's incredible. And you can see how hot it is. It's just shimmering, But we're all up there in suits, knocking it out of the park. And the crowd went absolutely nuts. I think he won sort of best at Meredith. People, you can just sort of, you can see it was a perfect time of day. There's 10,000 people standing up. Yeah, I urge everyone to watch it if they have a chance, because it's just amazing. And just to see how cool Big J was, and he was 85 or something at that stage.
I'll find the link and I'll put it up. I do remember he wasn't well at Way Out West, and I was lucky. I sat out and had lunch with him, and then he came through the doors, did the similar walking through the crowd and that. I mean, he could barely walk, and he was.
That's right.
But when he got up on stage, he sits there and he goes, "Children, we're going to have some fun."
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I once told you that you are the coolest dresser in the Melbourne music scene. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember.
Where do you source your wardrobes, mate?
Well, I think I've been outstripped now. There's some guys getting around that vastly outdo me these days. But op shops used to be the place where I got everything.
Yeah.
Thrift stores over in the States, and some things I'd bought online years and years ago. But it was that just going to all the op shops.
Yeah.
That's how you used to find everything, because as a musician, especially years ago, I mean, I didn't have a lot of money to go out and get tailor-made suits all the time. Yeah. So you'd just go out and find what you could, see what fit, make it all happen, and then obviously you'd find different things along the way, but nothing. Just put it together. But it was just from years and years of looking at albums, the back of albums, looking at Muddy Waters and these guys all dressed up in beautiful suits, and just looking at it going, oh, how good do you look? You're looking awesome in that, and sort of thing. And taking styles, stylistic things from, Lightning Hopkins. He was a very smooth dresser.
Yeah. Yes.
So that kind of stuff. And then you just try and find something like it at the op shops and wear it, I suppose.
I think Jeff Lang's an op shop buyer too.
It's hard you don't find as much stuff because there's people sorting through it before you get to it. But so I don't really do a lot. Anytime I'm near an op shop and I've got time, I'll pop in and have a look, because it's just, habitual. But
it's the hunt.
It's good fun. I just like to go in there and have a bit of a fossick around for 10 minutes to see if anything just grabs me straight away. Otherwise, I just walk out.
We're really looking forward to the gig. Thanks for chatting to me at Way Out West, Sunday the 21st. Can you tell us who'll be in the band? I think you have mentioned a couple of names there.
We've got Paul Williamson and Dean Hilson on saxophones.
Beauty.
Attilio Vecchio on double bass, Andrew Lindsay on drums, and myself obviously doing what I do. Yeah. We did have James Black. Unfortunately, he had to pull out of the gig. I booked him, I don't know, 8 months ago. Whatever. But he had to. He's got family in WA and he has to go across, so he's had to pull out and do some from that But I believe we've got Damon there, haven't we?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we have.
So I was going to get maybe Damon to stick around if he feels like and get up with us and do some stuff.
Yeah, that'll be great.
I think he'd be into it. I know Damon quite well. So, so we'll have the full ensemble as such. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. It's my last fly-by-nighters gig for the year, and in fact, my last gig for the year, because I've got a gig on New Year's Day, and that's the next one. So
yeah. All right, man. So look, we're going to party.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and tickets.
It's going to be the best. It's going to be super cool. I mean, just the fact I can sort of shut up and just let Dean and Paul take care of the show, really, if I want to, because those two together, they work. It's such a treat together, but they're individually just amazing.
It's going to be a ripper, absolute ripper, mate. We're so looking forward to it. Thanks for taking the time to have a chat, and we'll see you on the 21st. It's the day before my wife's birthday, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm giving you as the birthday present. Is that all right?
That's fine. I'll put my lip balm on, so we'll have a smooch.
All right, mate. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, mate.
See you.